What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. D.Va in Season 5 garnered a lot of attention for her applicability in the pro scene, being incredibly high because of the flexibility and power of Defense Matrix, but also applying that to the general player base. Many players don't really find Defense Matrix usage palatable. Between taking these two bits of feedback, the D.Va rework was born, giving her a new direction where she's more offensive than she was before. Now, in reality, I don't know if we really know where that D.Va would place if she were put into the live competitive game and be played by pros. In my mind, she would play more as a surgical strike tool, where her positioning would be much more important, even more important than it already was on live, because the gaps of time we're able to use Defense Matrix and lean on it to keep you and your team alive will be smaller, whereas the live version of D.Va could just straight out silence a Tracer with tons of Defense Matrix. The new D.Va can run her down and kill her and silence her a bit. But it seems that Blizzard wasn't happy with this experiment, at least to the point where they decided that they're going to be buffing D.Va on the PTR slightly. But I have problems with this buff, especially with the philosophy of where we're trying to move her, and I'll explain that in a second. What they're doing is, so D.Va doesn't feel as weak, they're keeping the 2 seconds of Defense Matrix full capacity, but they're increasing the regen rate by 25%. Now, this gets us into some tricky math. I was told there's going to be no math involved, but functionally speaking, the new Defense Matrix now would have basically 3/4 of the power that it used to have. So half of the full uptime, but with a faster regen rate, overall, you could have it about 3/4 of the time. But the problem I have with this is that this unintentionally is a buff. They're looking to nerf Defense Matrix, but I think in many cases, you would prefer to have a faster regen rate on it. Because here's the thing. If you're popping your Defense Matrix in and out of effect, which is its main strength, and you have these other offensive tools that D.Va has, now this rework starts to look like it has no weakness for me. Because now, yeah, when you're catching Tracer's clips of damage as she attacks your Zenyatta, you'll run out of it faster, but it also will regen faster in between those times when you're doing other actions. And I think a problem that we're kind of facing with Defense Matrix is that no matter what, it's going to feel oppressive, if it's any good. That's the thing. If it has the flexibility to pop in and out of effect like it can now, if you min-max it perfectly on this slight nerf, slight buff Defense Matrix that's going to be going on the PTR, D.Va overall as a character I think is just better. Because it's the flexibility in the mid-fight that makes it so strong, not necessarily the overall capacity, which is more or less used to block entire ultimates. Sure, lowering the overall capacity will mean that Reaper, Pharah, Soldier, all of their ults and more are going to be able to find more value, but that doesn't do a whole lot for her power as a character overall. That's a smaller section of her game when compared to her ability to be able to protect the backline or deny spam damage. Because correct me if I'm wrong here, the way Defense Matrix works is that you pop it in effect, catch some damage, there's a slight delay before the regeneration rate kicks in, and then when it does, the speed of its regen time on live is going to be buffed by 25% on PTR. This, coupled with her offensive abilities, would be a net buff to all the characters she's really good at fighting, because her best matchups were the ones where she did pop Defense Matrix in and out of effect. And with the PTR D.Va, sure, that might mean that you'll have more frequent times where you're waiting for the regen to kick in, but the new D.Va doesn't really care about that because it's not like old D.Va where she's stuck in spots where she's too far away to deal relevant damage. New D.Va has a range damage ability and also a very lethal dive ability. I have not seen enough praise for how strong her thrusters and shooting has become, and how nasty that's going to be for just dueling a Tracer outright. And because of that, you'll have more opportunities to get aggro and just seek and destroy a target, meaning that those gaps of time where you're kind of waiting around for something to do aren't as big as they'll need to be in order to make the capacity matter. Point being, it isn't this open gap of weakness to say she has to fight now in order to wait for the regen rate to kick in. That's fine. You block the relevant damage, you brawl a bit, and before you know it, it's back again, faster than it would have been on live, and you're more lethal than you were before. As far as I'm concerned, this is overall a net buff to her matchups against Pharah and Tracer especially. And maybe that's what we want. I don't really mind any iteration of D.Va that we're working with. In my mind, every version of Overwatch has had a powerful tank, whether you're whittling down Rein Shield or you have to somehow break D.Va mech in order to begin the engagement. Either way, I felt it's kind of similar. But we want to move D.Va into more of a skillful character, fine. But I think, unfortunately, with the massive amounts of power that D.Va has, any rework that takes her a step down is going to take a while to absorb the new playstyle and how it has to be used, because, like we've seen with a lot of reworks, really, old habits die hard, and it's tough to relearn a skill set in a different way. And when you apply your old playstyle to a new type of character, it's probably going to fail miserably, and that's not really a good example of reviewing how the character plays for real. To me, I think there's not really a perfect version of D.Va where everyone's going to be happy. If Defense Matrix is good at all, it's always going to have an oppressive effect. The only thing you could do is really work on the flexibility of Defense Matrix, because tinkering with the overall capacity isn't really where it's strong. It's her ability to min-max it is what's so great. Now, back in the day, when it was an all-in ability and you pressed it and it was up for 4 seconds or something, perhaps that wasn't good enough, but maybe that's a concept that they're going to want to have to look at if their goal is to nerf Defense Matrix outright, because I don't think, really, you could call this next iteration an overall nerf, because it's a buff in some places, and I would argue in the places where she matters most, and it just turns good D.Vas better. It punishes wasteful D.Va Defense Matrix management, but that already was the case when you had 4 seconds of it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, please subscribe, because we upload each and every day, so you can hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Linked in the description, you can check out our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. Today, Liam tweeted out a clip where he used a Junkrat to use 2 mines to kill a Pharah out of the air. That's the kind of thing that we tweet, so check that out, linked in the description. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.